Okay.
That movie was insane. I liked it.
Yeah.
My mom was crying.
Yeah, when Eula gave that speech, I was bawling. I was crying. It was
It was sad.
pretty amazing. What did you guys think of the movie?
Swap out.
It was a lot. It was very good. I've never seen a movie before. I've never heard about the movie before. I don't think I've seen very many movies like that at all.
Let's just say everyone was beautiful. Okay.
Oh yeah, for sure. I agree. Definitely. I put some notes down in my phone, kind of like I thought I wanted to know about like the last name they have, the family name Peasant or Peasant. Is that like supposed to be like a play on like the word peasant? Is I don't know how I don't
Yeah,
know, that kind of jumped out to me, so I don't know.
I thought so too. Yeah, I thought so too.
That's how I originally took it as well. Even when I read it, I read peasant, and then hearing their pronunciation, of course,
Yeah,
different. It wouldn't be far off because somebody that was called Ione had there, and still stemming back from those names, it would make sense that they would. Um,
yeah. My
Yeah,
own, my own,
Iona, my
I own.
own.
Yeah, it's all about ownership,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in a kind of a strange way.
I didn't even know about the history of like Ibu landing when Eula was talking about it, and then I looked it up, and like it was a slave ship that landed there in 1803, and all of the slaves, or the people who were going to be enslaved, drowned themselves in the ocean instead of becoming slaves. So that was like the part with the when she was talking about it with
Yeah,
Ela in the
yeah.
water. I didn't know that was a real thing. That was
That's
yeah.
funny. It's not well. It's not funny, but that whole concept about the slaves choosing to drown themselves instead of becoming slaves is really interesting to me because I'm not trying to be too off course. But one of my favorite music projects from the last couple of years has a very extremely similar like mythology. Like I feel like I wonder if this movie was like the inspiration for that album because in that album he talks about like slaves jumping off of the slave ships and then they live out the rest of their lives drowning slave ships off the coast. And I thought that was that I found that similarity like immediately. So I don't know. That's
Yeah, that
just
makes sense.
something that jumped out to
Like
me.
that makes a lot of sense.
I wouldn't be
And I
surprised.
think it was interesting too how they told that story because it almost seems like, well, I don't know. We'll go into it later. Did anyone else have any thoughts about the movie overall?
Yeah, I thought the movie was great. I love the images. Um, a lot of I definitely the book. I mean, the movie reminded me of Urugu a lot. I saw
Same.
that going on a lot, um, especially with like the whole like the grandma trying to keep everyone rooted and being in Africanness, and then her I think daughter going on and coming back and trying to teach Christianity and
Yeah, that was so. I hated that shit,
Yeah.
bro. That made me fucking really upset. Like I was like, man, how lame. Like
That whole
Yeah.
yeah,
scene was so
Um,
intense.
yeah, I really like
yeah,
the whole rhetoric around respecting your ancestors and communicating with the dead. And I did think the names were very interesting, like Yellow Mary. Um,
yeah,
I thought they were talking about the light skinned woman, but I realized they were talking about the Mary who got run away because she was scared. And lot of symbolisms of like black pain, black rage, and suffering. I think the film was very very healing, and I really just like the Christian propaganda, but I like how there was Nana who rejected that, and she even
immediately. Yeah,
red string to like bind to like basically if you tie red string to something like that, you're basically binding it away from yourself, so it doesn't really engage your energy sphere. So I like all that stuff, and also, man, the one man was telling her to put water by her bed so her ancestors would have better time, like easier time communicating with her
Yeah.
dreams. A lot of great stuff here. A lot of
Trey, did you say they called her Yellow Mary because she ran away?
Yeah, that's why I took away. Yeah, that's what I got from it.
No, I think they called her Yellow Mary because in the context of where they are, she's the lightest.
In comparison.
Because they said they called her that from when she was little.
Oh, but they also called her Mary too. And at the same time, they were calling her Yellow Mary. Yeah.
Oh, well, I mean, it could be like a double entendre kind of situation. I mean, you know.
They just say people have different nicknames.
Or you become your name based on spelling.
Yeah.
You become a yellow belly.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the ruined concept when they kept calling the people who had come back from the States ruined?
I didn't think it was about that. I thought they were talking about the women who got who were raped. That's what I
by white
that's
men.
what that's what I thought they were talking about. I didn't think it had anything to do with the fact that they'd already been up north.
I mean, I think, you know, it had to do with that too, but also I don't even know, the missionary, I guess she'd be considered a missionary, but you know, I feel like in that context, she's also like considered ruined.
Wait, who? Oh, the black lady? I mean, sorry,
the woman who was the Bible thumper,
the Christian lady, the Christian lady.
Yeah.
I think the two people who like had that kind of moniker of ruined were Mary and Eula.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%.
But then Eula kind of was like, what does that even mean? We're all ruined because we feel that our our ancestors have been like raped, and we feel that part made me cry. I was like,
wow. That was heavy. That was very heavy. Wow. Like when she said that shit really hit. She really hit the nail right on the head for sure.
Yeah, she was like, you know,
like what the fuck are y'all talking about? Like how
violated? Like no one is more pure than the other.
Yeah, we've all been supremely violated. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy.
How did what happened to Yellow Mary?
For me,
well, she decided to stay back, didn't she? Didn't she decide to?
I think Mary was talking.
Oh, I'm sorry, my bad. I thought you. My bad.
I was just saying that I think there's such an importance in that circular, like communal meeting. Like nobody's talking behind anybody's back, and calling it out as they see it, but together communally, and saying what they have to say with the whole family present. I think there's something really powerful and healing about that. And there was just so many traditional things that like when they were even like cooking communally together, the way they were cutting like the okra and the onions, it literally reminded me of my grandma cutting the onions by hand, and it was just down. I cried like 5,000 times.
So many flashbacks for being. I cried so much too, Mary.
I wanted to ask y'all about you remember when Yellow Mary was living with the family, and then she raised the kids, and then how she had to, in order for her to stop raising the kids, she had to mutilate herself. That's I thought when she said she had to fix her titty, she meant like mutilated somehow. Yeah. And a lot of like instances of black people still being black people getting oppressed and being used by white people to raise their children, and then having to go from different countries to raise these white family children. I'm pretty sure the family she was raising was white. Like she doesn't say it, but
she said they were white.
Okay, good. But what do y'all feel about that? Like, in order for her to gain her freedom, she had to like cut a part of her body. It sounds like
it just shows you the like parasitic nature of like the relationship between white and black people. Like delectable Negro, like that's a type of human consumption, you know, consuming the milk of like a white child doing that. So.
Yeah.
And also, I wanted to talk about how, like, after they used up everything they could, after she was no longer useful in that capacity, they discarded her.
Yeah.
Well, she discarded. Yeah.
She kind of went back home. What about the Native American? What about the Native relationship with the black woman? That kind of rubbed me there. I felt the same way Nana felt when she saw that. Honestly. Yeah.
I thought Nana was cool with it because at least they're saying.
I thought she held her heart out of
the other woman, the other lady.
Who?
Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how. That was I don't know what to make of that.
Well, I mean, I thought it was interesting because it highlights like the Seminole. It was similar to like the Seminole people who were indigenous people in like Florida-ish area, and they had a lot of relationships with like formerly slave people who were free, and they supported them and like helped them to not get captured again. And because they knew like the landscape so well of like the swamps, they were able to, I think it took them like, I read something where like Andrew Jackson had to spend like almost like $34 million, and he never was able to eradicate the Seminole people. And when you see now, there's like a lot of Black Seminoles. So I think like that was a kind of nod to those people, maybe.
Oh, I see.
That makes sense. I still think of during slavery, a lot of Native Americans participated and like sided with whites, which is not like an unspoken. That's things we don't talk about as often as we should. And their karma is definitely being mostly going from planet Earth. You know.
I guess.
I really enjoyed the conversation that at the very beginning that the grandma had with Eli, when she was saying you have to respect your ancestors and it's your job to make sure the family stay together when you go to the mainland.
Yeah.
It reminds me so much of like my great grandma had literally said the same thing to my family, like on a I haven't listened to the tape, but she literally was like, when you guys go to London, don't break up the family, and the person that breaks up the family, I don't trust them anymore. So it was giving me all these like memories of what my family was saying, and yeah, it just shows me that it hasn't died. What our ancestors like kind of want from us, or what like the ancestral messages is so universal amongst us as Black people. Like yeah, that was so healing for me. But the fact that he reacted like kind of tense, like because of the pressure of it. And then the next scene, we see him breaking the glass of the tree. My symbolism was like breaking the roots of the old tree, but I don't know what that means. Like, but that was how I picked up that symbolism. What did you make of that conversation? Any thoughts on that conversation in particular?
I remember watching the conversation. I did enjoy what she was saying. The grandma was such like a powerful figure
for real
in that movie, and
her and Eula.
Yeah, I felt like they one of the ladies even was saying like how Eula was like Nana, and I could see that, you know, like I could definitely see Eula taking up that space and that position. So with Eli, you know, she was talking to him because he was upset, right? Is that why she was talking to Eli? Because he was trying to figure out what happened to Eula. Eula, I'm assuming got raped. Right?
She was by a white person.
It's heavily implied. I mean, it's the context is definitely there for sure.
I also enjoyed that, like, you know, that happened, but they didn't have to show it, and it was like alluded to without having to like actually show the violence of that.
Yeah, nobody needed that shit.
I really love the grandma. It made me think of how grandmas, how I've imagined them would be full of wisdom, and how it really sucked not having a grandma. And also I really like how she talked, because the way she is speaking, she speaks with like language connects, like when she's talking, she's always using like words like we, us, and she talks like, you know, she's connected to all the other Black people on the island, and that's kind of like a really good way to orient yourself and work in life and in the world. But like, you know, we live in this individualistic society that no one of course does that anymore. But just imagine the energy you would get if you spoke that way and you understood that, you know, that we're all connected and you could conjure energy from one another, which is what she was doing.
Yeah, it reminds me so much of like ISIS papers, in that so much of our language now is adopted from like white male like fear, and that there's so much of their language is like, because they're like isolated, they're able to like make a language and a way of speaking that's like rooted in themselves, instead of ours, which is like, you know.
I feel like the way that they speak is very similar to Ebonics. extremely similar. Like that's something that I kind of picked up on immediately. Like that kind of I guess you can call it broken English, but I don't really like that term. It kind of seems like derogatory to me.
Creole English.
Yeah, that's what exactly. But that's just a variation of the proper dialect. You know what I'm saying? So I thought that was really interesting too. Like, and I feel like in like the inner city or whatever the fuck, I don't really know like how to say things anymore because I feel like a lot of shit is problematic to even say. But where I live at, and
you're in a safe space.
you know you know what I'm saying. But I'm just saying like how I talk and how people that I know talk. That's I mean we're not speaking like the way that they speak, but we have our own kind of way of speaking. You know what I'm saying? That's not like the norm, or that's not like normal English or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's important to celebrate the ways that we speak, even if they aren't technically, proper yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am kind of bullshit ass, proper context or whatever. But no, I'm not politically correct. I don't fucking know, dude. But I'm just saying, like, I like the way I talk. I like the way all my people talk. So I think that shit is tight. I love the way they speak. Like some people that I know, like believe a lot of Belizean people, and they all speak very similar. Like how when the grandma was talking about like when she said something like she said when I was a lay girl, like and that's how they say little. That's how they say little and shit like that. It's super. It's very cool to me. Like I find that very fascinating. It's very refreshing to me.
I like how they showed the scene of the languages being passed down. You have I guess they were teaching the kids Creole, but I mean, this movie reminded me of the fact growing up without a grandma and like how central that is to like keeping family history together. Not that grandmas have that responsibility, but it seems like the one in the film took that responsibility. So yeah, passing down language is very important. I love how I talk about dreams too, about who visited them in their dreams. That's like real, like it's real communication. Like you went up to your mom and she passed away, just set some water out for her and she'll come talk to you. Well, I totally do that type of stuff.
What was so crazy about that scene is right before that scene, like Mary is wearing a necklace of a white man god, a white saint, and the Nana is like, "What are you doing?" And then she laughs at Eula for wanting to connect with her mom that's passed. It was like, wow. It reminded me, there's so much in there that reminded me of Yurugu, because everyone who was Christian had this conquering mindset, this like, you have to be converted. And everyone else who like was just like sticking with their indigenous religion, spirituality, was not trying to force the Christian people to change. They just were like, do your own thing. But the Christian people were always trying to like change everyone. I thought that was so interesting, and because we're just reading about that right now too.
They want everybody to drink the Kool-Aid. They want everybody.
Of the missionaries, I also wanted to bring up that scene because I enjoyed that scene a lot. Specifically, the Nana was like, "Who is that? Does he protect you?" That's what she said, and I was like, "Damn, like you're worshiping this guy, or you're like accepting this, and this isn't even for you, That was a pretty powerful thing that she said, and it goes back to highlight like how toxic. I really didn't like that lady, the Christian lady. I'm gonna refer to her as a
she was
because that's what she
so
was.
bad. Her and the other photographer guy, they reminded me of like people, almost like the people who go, even though she's from there, they reminded me of people who are like tourists and just like weirdly like fetishize but also belittle the people there. All of the language was like they're backwards, etc. But they were still like amused by them. It was very like weird.
Yeah, I didn't understand the photographer guy too much. I like he was a weird character to me. I didn't really understand his role. Like,
yeah, me either.
I think he symbolized like a black person taking on a European persona.
Exactly.
And the camera to me symbolizes tool of like capturing these people, and they're like, you remember Yellow Mary said, "Y'all live like savages here," and they're together. What is a salt water Negro? Does anyone know?
Never heard of
I
that
have
phrase until
no
this
idea
movie.
what that is.
And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you
Google
guys,
it.
do you feel like
Wait, but
uh
I wanted to I think Trey is like making a really good point about the photographer being like that's like really like that camera is like the white lens to these people.
Yeah.
And like even at the beginning the photographer says something he basically tries to tell the woman that no there was no more slaves imported after that law, as if some white law really stopped white people from enslaving and bringing people here, like
Hmm.
and it's like as if he believes so much what white people say that he's willing to discount someone who's actually from that area and has probably seen slaves come in to the port. So
I
I thought
agree.
that he was
Yeah.
definitely like the vector for like white people.
I
I
even
want
think
to
his
Yeah.
hat was a
He.
symbol. I even thought the way that his hat covered up his natural hair was a symbol. I also thought everything about that guy to me screamed European like infiltrator. He's a black person who's like gonna take back all these pictures to what he got, gonna take back everything to where he came from and like profit off it, you know. That's what I thought. Like,
I wanted to ask you guys, do you feel like being in a being in a location where you have like ties to like ancestral ties can amplify like your I don't want maybe it can amplify your belief
Definitely.
Yeah.
because remember when the photographer when he was taking those guys pictures on the beach, he saw the daughter in the photograph before he took the picture, and then he looked out like what the fuck was that? Then when he
Wow.
like so even though like he like was very like like Trey was saying he's definitely like embodying a lot of European like ideals and shit like that. Even he is not able to deny the fact that being in a place where he has like an ancestral connection is like kind of like pulling the wool off of his eyes. He's able to kind of see through the veil a little bit. But the only problem is he don't know what the fuck is happening. He probably thought he was losing his mind. Like I don't. But I
Yeah.
thought about that immediately.
I
Was the
think
little
to
girl
answer your question.
Eula's kid or
Yeah, that little
okay.
girl was the little girl that keeps appearing. That was Eula's kid, but she wasn't born yet. So like, remember how like the grandma was talking
Uh,
about how
That's
the
very like
ancestors could see like everything when they got there. Like they saw the whole, they saw what would happen, and then they were just content with that. Like, and I thought that
yeah.
was really interesting.
yeah.
And she
I
says the
think.
ancestors and the womb are the same thing. I love that line. I was
Yeah,
like,
I wrote
wow.
that down. I wrote that down in my notes. I was like, that's beautiful. Like, yeah,
yeah. I
Yeah.
also I also really love how the unborn baby is talking throughout the whole movie. Beautiful. You
Yeah.
know?
Mhm.
And to answer your question, Jair, I do think um, places have like energy fields where you're like more connected. I know when I went to the South for the first time, I found myself just walking off and staring at certain trees for a long time.
Do you have swag?
So compelled to look at certain stuff. And this is when I was in like the deep South for the very first time, and I was like, something's going on here. I would be really drawn to stare at certain stuff for a long time. And I just felt stuff, you know.
yeah. That's that invisible connection, man. That's that energy. Something in you was telling you like this shit is. There's a connection here, and something that I can't like articulate into words, but it's unspoken, I guess.
Yeah, Julie Dash has highly coded this film for us to like unpack and take on board. I see why some people were inspired by it. There's just so much to take on board, and I feel like I can watch it like maybe 3 times and pick up more.
Same, yeah.
So beautiful. I really liked Yellow Mary's character, not because her name was Mary. In fact, that was the worst thing about her. But honestly, it was the fact honestly, it was the fact that she had that heritage in her. She's gone off to the mainland or wherever she's worked and been through some stuff, come back, and she has the lens, but she's like trying to shed it by her presence, two by communing and still spending time. And she's calling them savages, but then 3 seconds later contradicts herself and says, "I've really missed gumbo," and says it like 5 times.
Yeah.
Like reiterates that, and when they do have their communion together, what Eula says, you can just see it in Mary that that's what she wanted. She just wanted to be accepted back by her family, and like don't judge her any different, because that's one thing that was constantly happening to her. And that reminds me of like people who travel off and or like let's say we go back to like our home countries, like the people who stay back, they're always gonna feel like maybe you're snooty or some type,
Yeah.
Right.
humble yourself and show your willings. If they should want to embrace you. And I feel like that was like a powerful message for like us who have now developed a European city where we're trying to break it off. We're trying to break it off and be free.
Yeah.
And take on these lessons that has been given to us, and respect our ancestors. Best believe I'm gonna now try and practice the libations of leaving water. My grandma used to do that. Like she used to like take water, pray on it, and leave it out at night. And I never understood that until I was older. But then watching it here, it's just certain things that are solidifying. It's time. It's time to you to start ritualizing that and respecting your ancestors because you're along the way there now. Like my grandma's passed now, so the greatest of us is not here anymore. So I have to at least try and assimilate some of the lessons that I saw for a reason.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out to Yellow Mary for actually staying on the island because she will her character like was her not really fitting in and not really feeling like she belonged there to wanting to stay there because she knew she needed to be on the island so she could heal because she's been traumatized on the mainland, like traumatized in Cuba, traumatized everywhere she's been, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her her energy was amplified, you know?
Yeah,
Like
the connection that she had was like so intense. You could tell.
yeah. I love that. I thought that was amazing. That's another reason I like in addition to the photographer, that whole situation about Yellow Mary definitely stood out to me as well. That like also, you know, it spoke to me, man. That was really good. I had a second part I wanted to add, but I forgot. So whoever wants to
And
jump
I
in.
agree with like Mary. Like I resonated with this movie. Like also just like on the level of being like an immigrant. I didn't think that I would resonate with this movie so much having like family overseas and that lost connection. I was like bawling when they got on that boat because I just knew the connections that would be lost. And even like, you know, we have technology, but like I'm just like it like the movie was just so layered because it's like they in a way they know what they're going into because they see the lynchings happening, but it's like they're still idealizing it because they just want to be away from where they are because they've devalued that home. And so I just kept watching them and I'm like, they don't even know what they're getting, what they're going into. Like they don't even know the hell that they're about to like, you know, be in. And they're like in this safe enclave. And I think that happens a lot to people in general who immigrate to America. Like I think they really don't know, and I don't think you'll ever really be prepared for that. And that lost connection. Like I always feel like the people in Ghana are my family, of course, but there's a difference. It's just different. Like the connection is just different. And I think it's because of like, you know, that separation in space, like how Trey was saying, like where the land, you know, like the soil, like she talks about the soil a lot in the movie. And if you see like at the end, they show the part where when they first got to that place, the soil, Igu landing, the soil was dust, nothing. They were like, what can grow here? And then you see the part earlier where they're like feasting and they're like, look at how much the soil has given us. And you just see like how much they invested in that land. And that's why the grandma's like, why are you guys leaving? Like, it's just a lot. It's just so good. Jeez. Yeah.
So true. That's
Yeah, I will.
about our sweat being in the soil. Our
Yeah,
sweat being in the soil. That's important. Yeah, please go on, Jerry.
I wanted to know. I was having a hard time kind of understanding where they were from or where they were. Like, so they were in, you know, what I'm assuming is the States because they're talking about going up north, or where were they?
They're in an island off of, I think, South Carolina or
Yeah,
Georgia.
yeah. South Carolina.
Well,
And how did they get there? Through
It's probably where
slave
they ended up
ships?
settling.
they probably went there once they were freed or freed themselves. I'm guessing. I don't know if anyone else knows. Because I know the great grandma was actually enslaved because she talked about working on the plantation with the indigo.
Mm-hmm.
So like everyone who, yeah. So I'm guessing she was freed or freed herself. and then they went to that island. Cause that's okay. I don't know if anyone else knows.
No, I don't know, but I do like how the grandma, how they she talked about time, how she was very much aware that the older that the next generation got, the closer she got to death, and that kind of stresses the importance of her having to teach the next generation, not only having to teach them, but teach them the right information to save them from being ruined, which I understand as being like whitewash, as becoming European, as having your mind metaside sided and coming back and spreading genocidal rhetoric like religion.
And that's crazy too that you say that, because literally that one lady who lived on the island and came back, she literally was screaming at her like, "You're supposed to die. You're old and dead." Like, that the Yurugu jumped out like hardcore. Like, she was like, "This is linear time. You're supposed to be dead." Like, all of these things that they're doing, like, like kissing this like book with these roots, like all of this is evil because you don't have power. You're old. And I was like, wow.
Yeah, she knows. She knows once the lady's dead. Yeah, she knows once Nana's dead, like she can take over with all her ideas and ideologies.
Yes,
it's crazy. It's funny you bring up that scene again, because I noticed like that there was that other lady that was there, the other one who wasn't really like a Bible thumper, but she also was like, what you're doing isn't working, isn't going to help us.
Oh, Hagar.
Yeah, she kept saying, what you're doing isn't going to help us. That it isn't appropriate for the time. And I don't know. I don't think the grandma really ever had anything to say about that. She's just kind of like, especially in that scene, she didn't really say anything. I think she just kind of knows, like, I don't know, like, she doesn't have an answer for that. Like, you guys kind of get what I'm saying. Like, she's saying, I almost feel like she wants her to be militant, kind of, or something. Like, we need to go and fight these people. But the grandma, what she's asking you to do is like trusting your ancestors. Like they'll guide you. But she keeps complaining like that's not helping us. That's kind of like why we're here. I don't know if you guys saw that too.
I definitely felt a lot of blaming for sure.
Do you want to go, Mary?
The granny didn't have to prove herself. She was more about action, whereas they were just speaking of like new things to them, like European religion and stuff like that.
Yeah, she was.
I like how she.
You're so right.
I liked how she talked about, like they think that going up north is like the land of milk and honey, but the grandma, she already knows. Like, she knows that whatever you think you're gonna get from white people, it's not real. Like it's not what you think it's gonna be. It's gonna be some kind of bastardized version of whatever you think you're getting. It's gonna always be some underhanded kind of, lesser quality. Like, like the grandma basically knew you cannot like try to assimilate to whiteness. Like that, I felt like that's what I got. I don't know how you guys felt about that. Maybe I'm reaching, but that's what I felt like. I felt like she was telling like, don't leave where you're from. Like, this is where we have like ties. Like Ashley was talking about, like, why would you leave a place where you have strength to go try to assimilate to whiteness? Like, I don't know.
It felt like it feels like because like that book Addicted to White, like it literally feels like these people, everyone is like in a way addicted to like whiteness or Europeanness, and it's like the grandma knows, she's like, don't take the heroin, like it's not going to be good for you, but you can't stop them, you know what I mean? Like if they're going to do it, they're going to do it. And I think I thought that dynamic between Hagar and the great grandma was so interesting, because Hagar is not even her actual child. And like the way she speaks on her and like denigrates her, I was like, whoa, like it just seems so European. I was like, I couldn't do this, like, speak to like an elder in the family like that. So I just
especially if they only offered you guidance. Like I can see if the grandmother was being like problematic or something like that, or just like hindering people or hurting people. But her entire character was just showing love and respect to one another, and also to show love and respect to those who've come before you and those and teach those who will be here after you are gone. So I don't understand why
But it's
her
hindering you
hostility
if
was so
they're
high. Like,
it's for Hagar, it's hindering her because she doesn't want a life where you get enough just to survive, right? She wants
right.
the riches, she wants abundance, she wants like all of the things that being in the white world she thinks can provide her, but really
Yeah.
won't, right?
Yeah. You're right. You're
Because
right.
like the people who go north and come back are the ones who were successful. So of course they're going to tell you guys great stories about being up north, and the ones who stayed because maybe they were lynched or they're forever in servitude, they don't have the capacity to go back to the island and tell you that no, it's really shitty here, do not come, like do not leave where you're from. So you have an idealized view of it.
That reminds me of my family in Jamaica. Like they always think that we have it so much better over here until they actually come here and see like it's not all a bed of roses. It's not paved with gold in England.
Yeah, that's true. I feel like a lot of my family members, due to when they come over here, um, a lot of them lose their way or get caught up or just getting themselves into something they can't get themselves out of. So they have to go back home to kind of humble themselves and be in a space where they're more appreciative of the things they have back home instead of just being in the States getting caught up. I have a lot of family members that don't live out here anymore because living out here was not the best thing for them. They were getting themselves into much bull. When they got back home, it's like they got themselves together.
Yep.
Yeah,
Which further like bring I want to bring back that point once again. Being where you're from, or being a place where you have roots, can amplify like your clarity, your vision. You can see more clearly. You can understand more effectively. Like, but I feel like a lot of people. I feel like a lot of people, even myself included. Like I don't even really know where I'm from. I know I'm from South Central California, but what the fuck does that mean? Like what is that? Like, is there any like validity to being from here if I don't know where like people who are my ancestors were there from, and I might never know. Like, and that I kind of feel sad that I don't have that connection. I don't have that. Like my family, like as far back as they know, they can only recall like what state we settled in, like in New York or Indiana or some shit. So like I don't know like what part of Africa. Maybe it doesn't matter. I don't know, like because I don't know what part of Africa I would identify with like genetically, but I felt like I related to these people in this movie. Like I felt super. I don't know. I felt very. I don't know the word, but I just felt like I connected to them on a
In
very deep
tune.
level.
You probably felt
Yeah,
very in
you're right.
tune.
That's exactly how I felt. I felt extremely in tune. You're right. You're right as
As
well.
you should. As you should. As
Word.
much as a lot of people don't know where they from, um, that doesn't mean you can't trace your roots ever.
Yeah.
I feel like I can connect with that as a British born Jamaican, like not knowing exactly where you belong or you can't trace back a language or something, like to the African continent. But I think as like Black African people, we're just people of the world in general. We're the first people. So we're not restricted to one place. And I feel like you just have to go for what culture your heart guides you to. Like right now, my mind's guiding me to Senegal, so that'll be the next place I will go to. But yeah, I feel like it's
Going
just more
together.
about energy. It's not about am I directly from here? Because you will never know, especially as being like our lineage being like disrupted by slavery. We can't say that we can trace ourselves back to one African country,
Yeah.
we might be missing everything.
Yeah. Like I
No.
don't. But I want to ask you, since you say that, is your name pronounced Adanet?
Okay, my name's it's an Eritrean name. It's pronounced Adarnech in Eritrea, but my parents are Jamaicans. They call me Adanish.
What do you
It
prefer? I don't want to, you know, I'm not trying to be funny, but I want to make sure I'm calling you by how you
oh,
prefer to
okay,
be.
Adonai.
Okay, well, Adenisha, I wanted to follow up on what you said. Do you think, I don't want to say ignorant, but do you think that people get too fixated on trying to identify which, you know, African country they belong to, you know, whether it's Ghana or Nigeria or X, Y, and Z? Like, do you think that people get too fixated on that? And because they get so fixated on finding that, they might miss the whole concept of connecting to Africa in any way, shape, or form. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%. I definitely think so. I feel like I was saying, you just need to take a step and decide, like, just go to look at a map and decide, okay, I want to go there. Look at the culture, and if you connect with it, you connect with it. I recently went to Kenya. I enjoyed it, but I never really felt a connection to the country. But my spirit and my body's been telling me Senegal, Senegal. So there must be a reason why I'm having dreams about it and stuff. Like, I feel like
maybe it's
we
your ancestors
underestimate,
talking to you.
yeah,
No,
we
not
underestimate the energy that's just inside of us.
here for my phone.
Thank you. I appreciate your answer to that question for sure. But I feel like maybe your ancestors might be talking to you and telling you to go there. I mean, maybe they're trying to, you know, get you to go do that. Maybe that's something that is in your cards. You're probably right. You're probably definitely right. Nobody knows better than you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. So you can go to these ancestry.com and go to these they have these DNA tests and stuff, but me personally, I
I
can't
don't
speak for
trust
any.
those.
There you go. I don't trust them personally. um yeah, it's inside of you, and I feel like this is what this film was trying to tell us. Obviously these people are from the Gullah Geechee area in America, so they know where they're from, kind of thing. But then they don't even know where they're from. They don't know where they're from in Africa. They kept saying the Igbo people, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think they don't know where they're from, and I think they took on they said that they connected, right? Like they spoke to their ancestors, and it
Yeah.
gave them like connection back to their culture because they may not even be Ibu, but they just were on that land where the Ibu people didn't
Mm,
submit to slavery and connected with that land and probably connected with those people. So
they
I
probably took
yeah,
over
I
their
agree.
namesake as a term of respect, right? Is that like is that what you mean? Like they took
I mean, I
they
don't know about the name necessarily, but I just mean like the cultural practices. Like
that yeah, that's
they
what I meant. Like
connected with
they took
them.
a right. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
What are you some good lessons you think we could learn from this movie?
Don't deny your past. Don't deny the rituals that belong to your people and to try to assimilate to whiteness. You know, I think that's the biggest thing that I took away, and also to to not to not judge so quickly about things you don't understand, like how they were judging Eula and you know for having been raped. Like, you know, there are things that are way out of people's control. You have to understand, like you have to accept people no matter where they've been from because you're not perfect. You know what I'm saying? So
The thing that resonated with me most was when they was talking about ruined women in regards to rape, and basically saying that a lot of that stuff is actually embedded in our DNA because of the trauma that our grandmothers and our ancestors went through. So it's like we have this feeling that's inside of us that might be of like, oh, we're not worthy, we're tarnished in some way. So like the whole energy of feeling like expecting the worst, and then we end up doing the worst because we expect it. So it's like we need to, I feel like when the grandma had was it the roots, and she was basically saying it will protect you or something like that, like basically maybe like
I made you guys good
the
food.
cutting of that element of the roots that cut your ties to that part, you know, like don't need, although it's embedded in us, we need to change our mindsets and stuff like that. Kind of that resonated with me a lot because I feel like um I have like I can see that in myself and a lots of other Jamaican women and stuff. Yeah, I can identify that lack feeling of, oh, we have to be submissive and stuff um to men, and we have to degrade ourselves in a certain way because we don't feel like we're that valuable to in the core, but it's not a conscious thing. It's something that's, like you're saying, it's just with it's that we feel like we're impure because of that trauma that was put upon us.
Yeah, and also they, people get ridiculed for things like that. Like they get get told that they're weak, or that they ask for it. It's so much terrible dialogue around sexual assault. Like I don't want to steer the conversation to something that it's not supposed to be in, but that really spoke to me. As a man, I can't like understand the experience of a woman fully. I can only understand through like the lens of like a movie like this, or a show like I May Destroy You or something like that. Like it to really open my eyes about things like that. And I never thought to myself that a woman who's been through something like that was less than, or not significant, or anything derogatory. But I've never heard that kind of talk. But like people must say shit like that if those women felt that way.
I personally wasn't talking specifically to the woman that had been raped, but I was just basically saying like, the other sister was basically saying it's like the energy of us feeling impure, or that whole tarnished element, feeling like we're ruined. It's like the energy that you have inside of you, you emit it and you attract certain scenarios to yourself. Not that it's like a conscious thing, but I guess within your subconscious mind, you put yourself. That sounds weird, like a woman deciding they want to get raped or something. But
No, I understand. I didn't think you were saying that. Yeah, I understand.
The messages that I picked up there was several beautiful messages, but the most important for me was the communal communication, passing down of knowledge, acknowledging the elders, and bringing the elders and the children together. There was a mention that was saying the old souls and the new. So as much time as I can spend with my youngers and as my elders, I want to try and implement more of that in my time and listen to what they have to say, like deeply, like not just when I need advice, just like take on board the actual experiences of our elders. Despite colonial mind or not, there's things that they've seen that could definitely help our path, and I feel like there's just more respect ancestrally. What else did I pick up? The communal cooking, just community. Community was the number one thing. Communal cooking together. When they were at the beach, and I believe one of the elder ladies, they were playing with the sticks, but like they copied each other. I just saw that as passing down of like wisdom, and like it was a person particularly that she did away. It just seemed kind of prideful. So passing down the what they held as women to other women, so they can take that on board as well, because that's one thing that's not really of course you're taught how to be a woman in value terms of making sure you can cook, you can clean, you take care of yourself, you groom yourself, but there's things that we practically learn like through self-love, of like methods of taking care of our hair, like methods of taking care of our skin, that we can communicate with each other as sisters and with our youngers, that I think is like really important. I picked that up a lot. So,
For me, I thought I really enjoyed, watching her, doing the practices and the rituals, like actually practicing, the spirituality. Actually, like I said, I saw a lot of Yurugu, so for her, she was, practicing it and doing the rituals and going through all of it. I think that was important to see, especially her, struggling with her family, and, and her seeing also her response to that. Those are some of the biggest things for me that I enjoyed seeing about this film.
Yeah, I think a really good lesson that this film shows is that the post-traumatic slave syndrome, which is that we're all damaged due to what happened to our ancestors, and to this constant struggle that we're still in due to white supremacy. So that was something I really enjoy, and just the importance of like each one teach one, and learning from your elders if you can, if possible.
What I resonated with the film is I have to keep rituals alive in my family. I feel like in my family, God forbid, when my parents do go, we won't know anything. We won't know what to do. I don't know how to do the waters with the candles. I don't know how to do medicine concoction when it comes to soothing my baby if my baby cry or certain things or blessing my home. I don't know how to do those things or say a prayer in Griffna and feed it to my family members that are not here. I don't know these things.
I've actually
So
realized that sometimes that stuff comes instinctively and sometimes we overthink it, you know?
yeah,
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is if God forbid something happened to them, we won't know. And I feel
Mm.
like as long as they're here and I can learn and I can learn these things, then
Mm.
I can always
Yeah.
carry it on and go back home and to learn these things with them instead of just being like, oh, they're here. I don't have to learn it. They're going to do it. We're fine.
It's
Kind of
true, the
thing. That's
knowledge of it.
kind of the film made me feel like, hey, I need to carry these things because my kids won't know these things that I've known growing up.
You want your voice to be heard? You have to speak.
It says something very important in the movie. It's up to us to keep up with the dead. When I heard that, that like really hit me because I've been dreaming about my grandma like for like the past couple of weeks. But I feel like it's to do with like English, like life stuff that I need to do in regards to like her house. But like it's been kicking my ass to like go out and actually get these things done. But like when they said it that way, I thought about the libations, I thought about the candles, but I'm somebody who's very skeptical. And I was scared to do candles because I don't know, like in terms of power, water, I saw all my life growing up via my grandma. So I would adopt what I physically saw her do, especially when dealing with her. I wouldn't want to do anything she wouldn't have done in this lifetime when I'm dealing with her, if anything. But yeah, that really struck me and it made me feel like we need to like it reminded me of Coco. We just need to acknowledge our ancestors' names way more and give us each morning. Cause those
Yeah,
that literally are guiding us as we're walking around.
yeah. Ever since I started reading Yugu, I've been trying to be more African, and I started doing libations. I do like libations every year, every day. Even that in itself has given me a new like energy, like a new sense of being, just by waking up every day and thinking my ancestors and my lost family members and my lost friends.
You
And then I think we don't like really have to like go somewhere and learn that. We can just start practicing it in our own way, and we will still get some energy from it.
Exactly. I'll tell you one thing that my grandma did. She'd pour the water into the cup. She'll say her prayers over the cup. In the morning, I'll drink a little bit from the cup. She pours some at the door outside, and then she drinks the rest. Yeah.
No, I like those.
So, yeah.
Um, I think for me, I still have to like sit with it for a while because I think there's a lot in this movie to take from. But I agree with what Mary was saying. I really liked when they had that. It was like this group therapy type session where they just all let out a lot of their issues with each other. But it was like it was like, yeah, I really like that, and I feel like we should do that as people instead of like holding on to things.
Yeah.
Just like let them out amongst our community, instead of like talking behind each other's backs and stuff. And I just liked all the shots of people just sitting, because like when that reminds me so much of Ghana. Like in Ghana, people you'll just see people just outside, just sitting and looking at nothing like all day or
Mm.
something. And I just like it reminded me so much of that, and how like that's such a rarity, and going back to that kind of idea of sitting in something, not feeling like I always have to do, but just like, immersing myself within my world.
Yeah, being able to just exist. You like people like people talk about, well, people don't talk about it a lot, but in Buddhism, they talk about practicing stillness. And I feel like it's very difficult for people to practice stillness because they've been conditioned to, always be on the fucking move. Like, you got to do this, you got to do that, blah blah blah. You always feel like you got to be, jumping around. So like, I just really agree with what Ashley was saying about that. Like, it's important to be able to just be calm and just be here in the moment, be present.
I learned that that you should um be aware you're going
Be aware of where you're going
and who you're leaving behind.
and who, yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
That was
Well
deep.
said.
Very deep.
Thank you,
Very
Z.
deep. Very deep.
Drops my.
Yes.
I really liked what you said in terms of not overthinking things, and sometimes it comes to us intuitively. I feel like sometimes those anecdotes are like our ancestors telling us how to deal with them, especially if you ask the question. Like sometimes I'll be like, not sometimes, in this year I've experienced like moaning or being complaining a lot, and then like literally I just got one straight dream of my grandma telling me I don't want to hear no complaints, like
Wow.
straight up. So like it's like not overthinking like the certain anecdotes that you get, like, or like if you overthink, or should I do this or shouldn't I do this, and then you just hear a word that says trust is all good. So yeah, I really liked what you said about just not overthinking it and trying to actually do what you are intuitively or subtly hearing that you need to get done.
Yeah,
That's
it
so
takes
true.
courage though. It does, because sometimes you're thinking, what is this? Like, I haven't. I've been told to do something tomorrow for this new moon, this full moon, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to do that, but I'm gonna trust it and be courageous.
Wow.
You know?
I feel like I've been called to do something before the full moon as well, but it's like declutter, give stuff to charity, and write down a full list of everything I want, and lots of thank yous as well.
Gratitude is definitely.
Lots of thank yous. Yeah.
You know, this movie, like, it definitely makes me more, what's the word? More like appreciative of our ancestors, and even like our parents, when you think about like the generations before us and what they went through, and you think, okay, like, yeah, we have definitely, like, our generation, like, when it comes to emotional stuff, and like we're kind of like, we're definitely hurt children, like, we're definitely got a lot of pain that's within our veins. But when you think about what our ancestors actually endured, the line that came to mind was we're the children of those who chose to survive. And like, imagine what
That was
surviving
great.
meant. Like,
Yeah.
it's time for us now to be the children that thrive, and to introduce the next generation of thrivers. Now it's no more surviving. Like, surviving is over now.
Wow.
Yeah. And Swell, you can go ahead.
Yeah, I wanna add on to that, because that brings us back to post-traumatic slave syndrome. Because when you are the descendants of slaves, you have to survive by, like, succumb by being submissive, which would which would like which would allude to, like, how a lot of the Black community is still in this stuck in this pattern of, like, fear and being submissive to, like, I don't want to say the mass, I'll just say white supremacy.
Yeah. I feel too like something, just watching the way that everyone in that community existed reminded me so much of, like, it really is such a shock for Black people. And I think it's one of the reasons why I like people, I don't know if I'm wording this right, but I feel like people have this idea that, like, Black people you just see like how different the way that they exist is from the way that we exist here. This sort of like everything is forced. When they're always touching each other, they're always like, and it's like you don't even know who, but like who's a child of who. Like everyone is just like a child of everyone, and everyone is everyone's like companion. And I think that I think for people who have African descendants or are African, it's so hard to change your existence to that type, to the existence that we have right now. And I think that's why we're constantly fighting it. And I think that's why, you know, like we have so many rates of like addiction and like abuse and things, because we're trying to really fit ourselves into a mold that is so not natural to our being. Like we do not exist in this way. Like we're such a connected people. We're such a people that are like believe in stillness and existing within something and immersing ourselves, and like that type of love and community is so hard to get now. And yeah, so yeah, a lot of things just connected when I watched that movie.
Yeah.
That's definitely true because when people feel,
I was
sorry,
already said, no worries. I was already said, but really quickly, I did think the movie, to me, was even more powerful because you didn't have to see any white people in it. It's like all black people.
Ooh.
Um, we've been like programmed, and like there's so many films that like this that are only white people, and like no one says, hey, this movie is only white people in it. And if a black person says, oh, it's nice to see a black movie that has only black people, like I would be considered racist or prejudiced, or like I would be considered unfriendly because I said that. But I think this movie was even better because I think Ash said earlier, we were told about white people, but we got to see them,
Not to see the rape.
Yeah, exactly. It was just really smart,
Yeah, I think they allude to lynchings. They never show that either.
yeah, we don't need to see like trauma porn. We don't need that shit at all.
Exactly. It shows you exactly that it's a trauma porn basis that we are showing those images in the first place. Because we still resonate, we still understand, can feel the trauma and pick up the story just as well without seeing that close imagery
Yeah.
of skin getting pulled, pinched, or it is porn.
Yeah.
It is
And we didn't need to see that at all because all that trauma porn does is reinforce white supremacy. When black people see themselves on screen getting the shit beat out of them and fucking murdered by the police, which happens in real fucking life, like like I don't need to see any more. Like I'm Black Death. I'm so anti Black Death that like it's like that's all I can think about. I keep thinking about when I see people like that are not reacting to Black Death. To me, that's an answer. Like you don't fuck with me. You don't give a fuck about me because when my people was getting murdered in the streets, you have nothing to say. You're fucking silent as a mouse. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad there was no trauma porn. I'm really fucking glad. I didn't need to see none of that shit. Like I probably would have turned the movie off, man. I can't deal with that shit no more.
And I like too that
I know
the
some
movie
of us.
doesn't. Oh, go ahead, Kwaku.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, I don't know how some of us felt about Beyonce's whole thing, but I felt like this was Beyonce's Lion King thing done perfectly right. There was no trauma, just beautiful black people all around enjoying each other.
Yeah, I think
No
I
Beyonce
think,
slander will be tolerated.
something that, well, yeah, Z was saying that. Z was saying like the first scene, right when I think Mary is on the boat, Yellow Mary. Z was like, "Is that Beyonce?" Because it looked so
Yeah.
much like Lemonade or something.
Damn, what if Beyonce got her inspiration from this film for that?
Yeah, she did.
Wouldn't
She
be
did.
surprised.
And
Wouldn't
she
be
says it
surprised.
too. But I think what was interesting is that a lot of people do that now. They do the like it's Black joy thing, but they're always like it always has this weird lens of like it's like we're showing Black people being joyous for white people to see us happy. Whereas
Yeah.
this movie was like Black joy for Black people, like it was
Yes,
Black
yes,
community
yes.
for Black people, not like look how happy we are, white people. We're not actually like oppressed or something.
We don't even care about slavery. Who cares, bro? Look at how
Yeah,
happy we
I
are.
really like
Whoa.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love seeing like true like Africanness and true healing, not just superficial. I got over my problems, but no, spiritual, mental, psychological healing is really powerful.
Yeah, and it doesn't like follow I mean, Trey knows more because he's like a film person, but at least from what I was watching it, it doesn't follow any like storyline of like film, and I liked that. I liked that it was just like you're literally in this last day of community. There's no
Well,
like
that,
big moment, like at least from what I saw, like nothing. It just really builds to them leaving essentially, and like the conversations around that.
you know what? Towards the end of the movie, when it ended, I was like, well, this was actually a perfect movie because you see characters' journeys, and you see a story unfold, and you see characters change. At the end of the movie, you see everyone has changed, especially Yellow Mary. She's literally
Yeah.
so surprised when she's thinking at the island. And I was like, wow, this shit's really good because like you're trained. Well, this is from my experience at these Western schools. You're trained so much to show your characters changing. At the end, they have to be completely different. And Julie Dash, she really came out guns blazing with this movie because it is like on paper, it's actually really structured really well and it's fantastic. Like it's good. It's good. Yeah.
It's revolutionary.
Yeah.
Every single speech amongst themselves that they were having was like I was imagining as a writer writing that down.
Yeah, the dialogue.
Yeah, it was like a poetry like film. It was a film of poetry.
Yeah.
And I would say that the characters don't change, but they improve for the most part. Unlike when like Hollywood cinema, white media, like they love the characters either changing not for like their improvement or they don't change at all. Like
Hagar actually doesn't change, and she loses her daughter, or she loses access to her daughter, which is pretty interesting too. Yeah. I thought too, like Eula reminded me so much of the guy from A Soldier Story, the person who like commits suicide. I forgot his name, so I don't want to. Do you know what I'm talking about, Mary? The one that everyone like the guy hates or something because
JC, right?
Yeah.
JC,
he's like connected to his. He actually has like just a genuine pride in his culture and like is connected to the spirituality and doesn't have this hierarchy of like backwardsness or not.
Is it JC?
And like the way that everyone talks down to him is like how people talk down to Eula, like, or at least Mary was in the beginning, talking down to Eula.
Oh, Geechee. Is it Geechee?
No.
No, that's his nickname. Yeah,
I forgot what the guy's. I forgot what his name is, and I'm not gonna try to like.
It's JC. Sure.
Is it the one who killed himself based on the other guy's jealousy and pressuring of him?
And like
yeah.
behavior.
He reminds me so much of Eula. Like I think they're like both really connected and know the power, but it's like innate in them. So when people try to test them, they can't like. I feel like Eula, she knows the power of her culture, but she doesn't even try to prove it. Like whenever Mary is like talking shit to her, saying she's backwards and all this stuff, she doesn't even say anything. She's just like smiling in like the wind, like it's like it doesn't phase her. Like with her
I kind of I felt like Eula definitely didn't give a fuck. She was like, you can just feel how you want to feel, but I know what's up. Like Eula was definitely on point. She knew everything. Like high key.
Who
was it?
Actually, I know that's nothing, but yeah, that she physically looked like Ashley to me.
I agree.
That's crazy because when Eula came on screen, Swat said she looked like Mary. So that's
hey, big facts. I thought that Eula looked like Mary a lot, but I didn't want to say nothing. I was like,
I thought you looked like Mary. Yeah.
Me, okay, we got two here that says she looks like Ashley.
Yeah, I was like,
I got hella Mary vibes.
I would love that. I love Eula. So I don't know. That's fine.
It's in the smile for me, but physically, yeah, okay.
Was it? Oh damn, I forgot. I'm sorry, homie.
It's not important.
Oh, was it Ezekiel who said that Eula was basically gearing up to be kind of like the new,
to be Nana
spirit, the new spiritual foundation for the family, kind of, you know what I'm saying? I thought that was really that was a pretty good observation, bro, because I didn't catch that right away until just right now when they made that point. But you caught that shit way earlier, so that was very keen insight.
Yeah, I think definitely. Definitely apart from Nana, she was definitely, I think, the one that was like most in tune with like the spirituality of all the characters. So I definitely could see her assuming that role.
And also, did you notice that even some of the people who lived there, they also were kind of like Oh yeah, well obviously there's the what's the lady who's an asshole the whole movie?
Hagar.
Yeah, that
Hagar.
was her. She was being a jerk the whole time. But and then you notice her negativity influenced other people to also treat the grandmother
But
negatively as well. Like
you know,
that shit was
Yeah.
spreading.
but you know what
Yeah.
I think she was like, I think Christianity made her that way. I think that she's
Yep.
taking data that's literally corrupting her. That's what I thought about Haggard.
Yeah, she really felt like she was superior, like just like in Urugu, because she's progressed into this better, this better religion, this higher
Yeah.
religion. Like, what did you guys think of the
Yeah,
Bilal guy when the guy is interviewing
No.
the
Right.
older guy, Bilal? Do you guys
Say that
remember that
again.
part? It's towards the end when the photographer he starts talking to the guy who like everyone basically says like don't talk to him. He's not gonna give you anything useful. He's too stuck in the culture. His name was Bilal. It was like at the
I
end.
I saw him talk to him, but I honestly didn't understand his importance or what their
yeah.
conversation
I can't
was.
even recall his conversation at all.
I
Yeah.
can't
I,
even.
I do remember that he was at the beginning as well, reading the Islamic prayer. I don't know his significance. I probably should have. I probably need to watch it again to try and pick up that. But it's destined that we watched it this way for me for the first time. But when I say that this has now set the standard for the type of film that I want to take in and
Mm,
person, like if I'd watched this before, there's so many slavery movies I wouldn't have even paid any kind of attention to.
mm.
Yeah.
It showed me like this is what healing looks like. This is what storytelling looks like for us, for our people.
Oh man. Yeah. Not 12 years a slave.
Yeah.
Uh
Now I understand the
Yeah.
gimmick of a black movie versus an actual black movie.
Yeah, and I don't like. Do you guys know of any other movies that are similar? At
I
least
wish.
like are within like a yeah, I can't think of any immediately.
Honestly, when I was watching this, it reminded me of Birth of a Nation a lot. But like only because of like the African spirituality in this. Have you guys anyone seen Birth of a Nation besides Swah?
No, I haven't seen it.
no, I haven't either.
Yeah, he said anyone besides me. He said that. Yeah, I saw it.
Side.
Birth of a Nation is worth watching.
Nah. It's 3 hours of nah. I would not say it's worth watching. I would not say that.
No,
Which one are you talking about? We're talking about Nate Parker, right?
Oh no, I'm talking about this Klan's tribute.
that one is not 3 hours.
The Birth of a Nation, the original.
Yeah, the one from like the 1912
It's
or
close
something.
to
But I'm talking about the one from
Not the Nate Parker.
what 17. I'm talking about the one with Nate Parker.
Yeah, that one is worth watching.
Are you talking about the one where he led a rebellion?
He's talking about the new one. Like
Yeah, he was Nat Turner.
Yeah, oh yeah, I saw that thing. Yeah, that movie was fucking crazy. It made me really sad. It was really traumatic though, man. Like,
yeah.
it was hard to watch.
Should we do you guys want to do like closing comments and then we can pick the next movie, or did you guys want to keep talking?
I don't care what.
I think we already picked the next movie. Oh, okay.
I just wanted to ask a question in relation to like the dreams and like solidifying it as something that happened versus calling it dreams. Like they literally also like saying someone came to you, like taking that on board, like taking on board your dreams and not just trying to like ignore them. Like I've been taking for the past couple of months mugworts, and mugwort makes you vividly you're in a dream. You experience it like full on if you drink mugwort tea. Like it's kind of reduced now, like in terms of my intake. But when I was getting heavy downloads that make me. I felt rested, but I felt like I had two lives. Versus like I literally was that. It's very important, but in a fast-paced society like this, when you have to work on a regular, you don't have time to be like, oh, let me dream. Like, it just stopped being a focus for me. But there's one thing that amongst us now that among us now that
amongst us.
Amongst us.
I like the little ad you put there.
yeah, sorry, Trey, instead, what was I gonna say? That we have that's so like secretive and like, you know, don't tell people your dreams. But in hearing that, it made me really want to be able to like openly talk about my dreams and like share if people had similar dreams the day before. Like, but this fear of juju, this fear of people, evil eye, and all that kind of stuff, and don't tell people dreams. Like taking that on board, like yeah. I want access to be able to speak about my dreams openly as I experienced it there.
Yeah, I really my closing comment would be I really appreciated the whole introduction of us. Oh,
I'll mute myself.
Yeah, I agree about that, Mary, about dreams, or like not even calling them dreams, I guess making like having a new language for it. I was actually telling Swal the other day how as a kid I used to like to go like to sleep and dream. So I would just like nap in the middle of the day instead of like playing because I wanted to like dream and stuff.
Wow.
And like now as an adult, I do not sleep well. And I mean, I dream, but I don't sleep as well anymore. And I think it's like that kind of disconnection has happened. I guess my ancestors not trying to talk to me right now, so I gotta like they're probably pretty like, you know, scorned, so I have to get that connection back.
Yeah,
I
just said, I don't know, it resonated with me because you know, I was saying like old souls and children being the most important members of the family. And it just you saying about you used to go to sleep as a child in the daytime because you want to be in your dream world. It reminded me of one of my nieces basically saying like before she goes to sleep at night, she puts her head into a pillow and kicks her feet and she decides what she's going to dream about before she goes to sleep so she can go into that dream. So it just reminded me of like how children can like
self-mastery.
That's yeah, that was me as a kid too. That's so funny. That's so cool. So connected.
And you can definitely learn a lot from children.
Yeah.
Also, y'all, if you guys do want to dream on a regular basis, what I know works for sure. Before you go to sleep, tell yourself, "I'm gonna dream and I remember it." And just tell yourself that. You know, that's how I've been able to dream. And if I remember to do it, I can dream quite frequently. And even these last 2 days, I've been having pretty interesting dreams where like I would see people, and I can't really remember stuff sometimes when I wake up, but I know the people who are in my dreams. They're all alive right now. But yeah, tell yourself you want to dream, and you can totally do it.
Another interesting thing about dreams is like when I was pregnant, I had a lot of dreams, and like they were super like they just felt really, really real. And a lot of them were pretty like violent. And I think like a lot of people say it's about like the fear of having a child and having to protect that child and like manifesting into that. And so I think that was like really interesting too, like the different stages. It's almost like your kid is like dreaming inside you because they're like this, they're like not wanting to come into this like messed up world or something. And it's like all of that unborn baby's fears or something. I don't know, maybe that was all of these like fears.
I'd imagine the 2020 babies.
Oh damn.
If you get pregnant, start dreaming about like face masks or gas masks, then you know what the kid's thinking. It's getting worse. God forbid.
I feel like this chaos that we're in right now is like just a sign for there's gonna be a new world coming out of this, and I'm gonna choose to be optimistic rather than fearful from it. Because even when the first lockdown began in London, like I feel like it was a really beautiful time because people were in their houses. I was able to explore my area in peace. Like I was able to hear myself and hear the birds chirp, and like it was a gorgeous time. Like, I feel like let's just be optimistic for the new world.
Do you know? I actually remember when COVID had happened, and like I'd see you in your studio or painting, and I was just like, you have to release.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was amazing. I would go to the park and go like, because it was really beautiful weather at the same time as well. So like they're telling me to stay in my house and it's sunny outside. Are you crazy? So I'd be at the park every day, running around and meditating, and it's just like there's nobody on the street. So I really appreciated that time, like a slowing down of the world. For a minute. Yeah, I feel like it's really the times that we're living in now, like I feel like as us Black African natural original people, like it's time for us to step into our power again and to change like the trajectory of things, because it's been the same like whitewashed routine for too long now, and it's back like this kind of movie that we're watching now, like bringing back those rituals from our ancestors and the stuff that we just, like you said, our dreams that influence those things. Yeah, it'll. I see there's better times coming.
Yeah, I really love that you said that, and I would say that if you want to contribute to that, you could join the book club.
Okay.
So yeah, I think you're totally right. We really do have to change the trajectory, because right now there's no trajectory. It does not exist. There's no Black culture that preserves our survival or protects us. As far as
or educates us and what we need to be educated on, like in a holistic, like sustainable way. Like we're learning things that are actually going to provide sustainable access to our lives. Like learning about racism, white supremacy, learning about farming, learning about like how you decolonize your soul, all these things.
Having a healing community that you can come back and share your perspective and then get theirs, I just feel like it gives you like, we're learning twice as fast as we would have separately. And that's so beautiful to me, doing that as a community and putting in practical solutions towards our own revolution, because we all have that in our own consciousnesses. And yeah, we're projecting that into real reality. And yeah, I couldn't be prouder. And
sorry, Mary, go ahead. Sorry.
So speaking of dreams, I just wanted to share, like, practicing the sharing of dreams. This was like this was a long time ago. I don't know if I told you, Swab, but I had like a dream a while ago that you, Swab, was flying a spaceship and you came and picked me up, and
did you hear that?
going off like far in space. And then I remember you saying I had to like jump off, and I was like, I'm gonna crash, and he was like, no, you'll be fine. And I jumped and I landed in a beach, and then the dream continued. But now I kind of like, I'm taking that spaceship like literally as this.
Yes.
This is it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I had a recent
cool flying swan.
I had a recent experience with like making myself dream. I have read something really, really interesting, and I wanted to go to the place where this guy was talking about, because it was supposed to be like real history, real ancient African history. So I went to sleep saying I want to travel to so and so, and I fell asleep like repeating that, and then sure enough, I dreamed about being in a very, very grand place.
Wow.
No, I was not like Hippolyta, but it was close to that experience.
I think Z wants to talk about her dream that she had last night.
I had a dream about that I was in a mall or something, and then Travis Scott was there, and then but then his face turned into a dinosaur and then started eating people. and then I went into this portal or something that turned me anime, and then and then after that, Travis Scott followed me and then just ate me. That's it.
Oh my god.
I think
it's you
there's consumerism.
I think it's about consumer, because you're in a mall and Travis Scott is like doing stuff with McDonald's. So
dead ass.
With like consumerism and fast food, and it's eating you.
You know.
And when you say he was a dinosaur, to me, I pick up
Reptilian.
I also pick up paleontology because that's the study of dinosaurs and fossils, and paleontology is like basically the study of white people. Paleo. It is.
And Travis Scott is in very close proximity to a lot of white people.
Has sold out.
Definitely.
Maybe Travis Scott has sold out and he's trying to like consume the children's generation coming up as the being the spokesperson for them.
Yeah,
I totally agree with that, Mary.
Oh my God!
Pretty
Holy
much.
shit!
I
It's
think
like the consumption of the youth.
And then I woke up in the middle of the night too.
Definitely the moral of the dream is to stay away from Travis Scott.
Yeah, don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
Don't consume anything Travis Scott is a part of, or else he'll consume you.
Dang, that was a pretty sick ass dream though, low key. I mean, like.
I have a lot more.
Yeah, Z has.
Especially the anime part.
Hey, yo, Ash, you and Z need to collaborate like immediately. Like.
That's true. Has my muse been here all along?
Facts. Let's link.
Literally.
That's funny.
I had one song that I was playing.
Okay, I guess we could do closing comments on like the movie.
What's the next movie?
I think it's some.
We're not talking about the next movie right now.
Oh yeah, the white dog. Yeah, the white dog. It's about a white dog killing black people.
For the sake of lift, let's talk about the next movie after closing comments.
I know. Fucking yeesh. Right.
Yeesh, man. Closing comments. The movie was wonderful. I love consuming anything like that, anything relative like that. This is the stuff we should be watching, not Lovecraft.
Reels.
I agree though. I agree totally.
I also liked how the movie, they're in a graveyard, but it wasn't like scary. I think that was also important. I think, as far as our ancestors and those who've left us, we shouldn't be scared to communicate with them or anything, or to feel their presence. Yeah, but that's what I'm taking from it. I enjoyed it. Thank you so much. I will have to at least watch that movie 3 more times.
Right.
Same.
I liked it.
Wow, that's so interesting, Ezekiel, because I didn't even think about how we live in America. So literally white people can dictate what you do with like your ancestors and families' remains. Like that's kind of fucked up when you think about it. Like anyway, but like that's another thing. But yeah, anyone else?
That's true. I wanted to just add about the lack of fear around the graveyard. There was even in the graveyard that the child spirit walked into Iona. Is it I can't remember her name.
Iona?
Yeah, was it at the graveyard that the spirit walked into her pregnancy? Do you remember that moment when the child literally walked into
walked into my stomach?
Oh, when she ran into the ghost?
Yeah, the baby literally ran into the mother. I thought that was very heavy-handed, but it was really beautiful. I love that. I love that a lot.
That was beautiful. I felt like the spirit was joining with the pregnancy.
Stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but for me, Jimmy Dash, you have wow. This has set a standard in filmmaking for me that I now fully understand why people are inspired by this. I don't want to go backwards in terms of ancestral stories that are healing. In terms of storytelling that are for our people, I don't want to go backwards. I want more and more like this. And it's upsetting that it's in 1991, and I don't think there's been much.
Our birth year.
So wow.
Yeah. I agree with everything everyone said, especially what Mary just said. For myself, my closing comments are: I enjoyed the film. I love the I guess the lessons about how we can communicate with our ancestors, how we can get more not closer to our Africanness, basically. And my jaw almost dropped when I saw her with the red string and binding that book away, because I literally had to write letters before and then wrap the letters in red string to bind certain people in my life. So I was like, oh, this is like, it must be real then, because it worked. I haven't interfaced with that person since I did that. So yeah, magic is real. Our ancestry is powerful, and we should all be used to and start communicating with our dead uncles, our dead grandmas, our dead loved ones. Even if we never met them before. I never met my grandma, but I should definitely communicate with her more. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Trey. I think the thing I really love is that how you don't have to go and learn something. Like the truth is in us. Like Gola Island existed because they were able to reform, just conjure that knowledge, and literally from nothing they were able to regain that knowledge, and that's just something only people with melanin can do, I believe. All right, thanks for sharing.
Wait, what? I think people are gathering thoughts. Does anyone else? Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Jack.
I'm good, to be honest, but I feel like I already got my closest thing a minute ago. But I agree. The movie was really great. I'm glad I watched it, because I probably wouldn't have watched it on my own accord, or at some point, but I wouldn't have seen it. I've never seen it before. You know what I'm saying? Like I appreciate this movie club. It's introduced me to a lot of shit I never saw before. Like I know it's not a contest or anything, but my favorite movie I think we've watched so far is The Spook Who Sat by the Door. Like it's just been so much beautiful content that I'm able to witness from being a part of this group, and I feel like it's just I'm just really happy to be here and experience this with people who are open minded to learn, and not just in the movies, in the book club too. So that's it. That's all I gotta say.
It
Um,
was
go ahead.
Aiden Edge.
yeah, it was a really good movie. It was enlightening because I've only recently heard about the Gulaguchi people, Gulagachi people. They're not really well documented. It's kind of like it's not really known about. Like you have to go searching for them, And also another movie I'd recommend is, have you heard of the movie Sankofa? Anyone?
Oh no, but I know some needs to go
I've
back
heard
and
of it
fetch.
too. Yeah, I've heard
Do
of
you
it.
do you mind putting it in the chat so I can we can see the name?
One second.
Okay. Well, my final comments are, I'm really happy that we got to watch this movie together and talk about it. Because I got to learn so much from everyone. And I just really, really love this movie. I want to watch this movie every year or something, just to get a replenish my soul or something. I just really liked it. I'm sure I'll gain more from it every time. So yeah.
I totally agree. I'm so grateful to have a community that we can watch such movies together. I don't feel like it's for no reason that I hadn't seen or watched this movie, and I love movies and I've seen all kinds of movies, but I don't feel like it's for no reason I didn't see it up until now. And even when me and Ashley were having a conversation, we both had inklings of wanting to watch this. So it was literally time. I'm so grateful to have a community to share and learn from this. So thank you guys.
Can
And
I
you
just
actually
ask
was in the movie, so
everyone's name?
Adanesh, did I say your name right? Sorry.
Adanish.
Adanish. Did you say?
Yeah. Can I just ask where everyone's from, country wise?